Hello and welcome to the True North CFL podcast. We're back with another off-season special. As per usual, I am your host, Jimmy Leach. You can follow me on Twitter at aka Jimmy Leach.
I'm Taylor Curry, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TaylorCurrySK.
And I'm Carter Kennington. You can follow me on Instagram at Carter Kennington. And you can follow me on Twitter at CarterDoinRadio.
Nice.
And just a quick plug to our socials here. We're on Instagram at True North CFL Podcast. You can find us there. We're going to get some more content going. We've got a couple more people making some stuff. You can find us on Twitter at True North CFL Pod. And you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and am I missing one? And SoundCloud, yeah, at True North CFL Podcast. Look us up, find us up, just subscribe, listen, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, no doubt. One thing we just posted our mock draft, James and I, and we did a whole episode on that. In case you haven't seen it, I would definitely go and check that out, especially if you're craving more CFL content right now. Because I'm pretty sure all of us need more sports in our lives right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, on to CFL news from February 25th to today, which, as of recording, is April 4th. So, Red Blacks released former first-round pick, defensive tackle Julian Laurent. Eddie Latler signed to the BC Lions, so that BC team gets another weapon, man. People are underrating BC, I feel like. How about you guys?
Well, it's all about recency bias, and they had Mike Riley, they had Brian Burnham. Yeah, sorry to talk out of turn, but I just find that that team, they're a lot stronger than people were anticipating because a lot of their issues were in the offensive line, and they picked that up at the end of the year. So
100%.
A lot of people, including I think all of us, believed that BC was gonna snag that last playoff spot away from Edmonton this year. So
I was hoping they did because they looked really good at the end of the year last year.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I think BC will do better this year if we have a season than they did last year.
Don't talk like that.
Don't talk like that. Yeah, no, we're gonna have a season.
Hey, Donald Trump said the NFL is going in September, so
exactly. We're gonna have a season.
Some at least.
Talk about a time for the AFL to go under.
Or
the XFL,
right? No, the AFL, like the Arena Football League.
Oh, the Arena League, yeah.
Dude, what a bad time for them to go down. They could have been making
they knew.
Yeah, really. There's
all they had to do was quarantine their players for 2 weeks, and then they could have a full season.
I know people are craving sports so bad right now, but
they could have done another multi-year deal with the ESPN.
Yep. One thing though, the CFL should do. I was thinking about this. Someone put this out on Twitter. They should have either put their games on YouTube or have some sort of service where you can go back and watch games of years past. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, but it's almost at a point where getting that and the amount of, I don't know, tech stuff, but the amount of effort that would require would almost outweigh the potential profit to it. So I can understand why they wouldn't want to.
I don't know. You just have to find a game recording and upload it to YouTube and put ads on it. It doesn't seem that hard.
If you want to throw it on YouTube, but if you're planning on making something that's akin to the NFL Network or anything like that, then I don't see that in the future anywhere.
Yeah,
but I don't think the CFL's too bothered by people putting their own stuff about the CFL out there because there are tons of Grey Cup games on YouTube.
There's some games on YouTube too.
There's a channel. There's a channel that has a PewDiePie logo that has every single CFL game in full.
Yeah, but I watched the 07 Grey Cup the other day. I'll probably watch 13, and it's been good.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and watch some of that. I've been binge watching House pretty much this whole quarantine period, to be honest.
I've started seeing clips of that on YouTube, but let's move on.
All right, moving on. Before we
We'll
get
save that for
way
the
too
end,
off
yeah.
track, because we went from
We'll save that-
signing Kenny Ladler to House. I don't know how that happened.
We'll grab that. We'll pick that up at the end. We have a new segment.
Oh yeah, we do. We'll get into that a little later. All right, so Naaman Roosevelt, longtime rider and fan favorite, has signed with the Montreal Alouettes. Taylor,
Oh,
how do you feel about this one?
just hurts to even talk about. I kind of forgot about it with all this going on and just reopen that wound. I'm gonna miss him. I think him and Vernon, they've already played together, like practiced together in Saskatchewan. I think they'll do very well. And I think he'll take Quan Bray's spot because Quan Bray I don't think's coming back. So
Oh yeah, right. I
Yep.
forgot about that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's in prison.
He's probably
Will
gone.
be. Yeah. And yeah, just I was on like the fringe of Rider fans when I said this, when I said we don't necessarily really need Roosevelt because we got a lot of young, good receivers.
Oh,
But
he's one of those guys
we just
that
had
you
too
don't
many
need,
receivers.
but you really
yeah, I
want.
know. It's just like he's an older vet. We got cheaper options, you know. Thank you for your service.
that-
Goodbye.
I
You know?
find that very like I think that's a big thing. Like with Saskatchewan, they always build super young. So well, not super young, but they always build relatively young. Like I always find that their stars are usually like always the come up, and they sort of make their roots in Saskatchewan. There aren't a lot of big stars that'll make their name somewhere else then sign in Saskatchewan.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, yeah, you think about I mean, it's a running joke that Winnipeg has a lot of Saskatchewan players, but it's like, it's a real thing. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the case of what's happened. But
Yeah,
like,
it's just because Saskatchewan builds younger and Winnipeg builds a little bit older.
But yeah, Saskatchewan, it just, I think then wasn't willing to sign them at bigger contracts. They wanted to pay everybody cheap, you know, and just pay the quarterbacks and stuff big money. But now you got to spread it
Yeah.
out a little more. So,
Yeah.
like, especially with the team they had now, they definitely had to spread it out.
Well, I actually have a question for you two about this signing on the not the on the Edmonton. Wow, what am I talking about? On the Montreal front. Does this is this the key piece? Like is this the move that makes them truly a Grey Cup contender over Hamilton?
Oh
No.
no.
It's they still need to work on their defense. Like their offense is great as it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, their defense has to get better. Like they got James
Mhm.
Wilder. They got
That was
Naaman.
their best move on the offensive side of the ball, I think, was getting James
Oh, yeah.
Wilder. Because he was
Well,
criminally underused in Toronto.
Exactly, and you lose Stanback, and then you get James Wilder. So it just makes sense. Like you replaced a good running back with a good running back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, moving on. Speaking of the Riders, they add former Seahawks running back Xavier Turner. Argos re-signed longtime long snapper Jake Reinhardt. Former most outstanding defensive player Javon Johnson calls it a career. Former Bomber and Rider.
We both feel the pain on that one. He was a great guy.
He was.
Played for a couple teams.
Yeah, he was. I remember apparently he sold his Grey Cup ring in 2007.
He did.
That's kind of sad, but I mean,
On
he
good
seemed
TV.
like a great guy, man. So
Tough
that
times,
sucks.
man.
Well,
Yeah.
no, he said at the time like he didn't like it here, and he didn't like the way that like he wasn't used the way he wanted. I think he said, and yeah, he just didn't like it, so he just sold it.
I guess that's kind of fair because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a reminder, right? It serves as a reminder to what you were able to accomplish, and if you're not proud of that, even though you are a champion, if you're not proud of that accomplishment of what you did to help that team get it, then yeah, I understand why he wouldn't want it per se.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus, it's not a Super Bowl ring to some of these guys, so
That's true.
There's been a couple guys who won both. I mean,
yeah, but you know, like
it's a rare
those
club
guys,
though.
The guys in the States.
I find it I hate that where it's like, oh, it's not a Super Bowl ring, because like at the end of the day, it's still a year of you with a team grinding to be the best in your field, and whether that's a lot of people see the CFL as beneath just due to the pay cuts and the amount of talent that's in the NFL in comparison. But it's still a year where you're focused on that one goal. So I think that it's just as valuable.
Oh, and so do I. But these guys just don't grow up.
That's
Imagine
true.
playing in the Grey Cup. Like
That's
they
true.
Yeah,
they
that's
grew
true.
up wanting that Super Bowl ring.
Yeah, I feel you. And so the Riders signed former Carolina Panthers DB Zach Sanchez. Riders also hiring Ben Olsen as their D-line coach. Argos have extended Canadian fullback Declan Cross through 2023. Again, the Riders, they signed another defensive back in Tevin Mitchell. Eskimos have placed linebacker Corey Jones on their retired list. The Alouettes signed quarterback Darius James Peterson. And then, Bombers signed former Hawaii and Oklahoma State quarterback Drew Brown. The Eskimos signed big receiver, former Argo, Rod Smith.
I like that signing.
Yeah, I like him too. And then Bombers signed another former Rider. Team, hey, they like our sloppy seconds, man.
It's true.
This is a ongoing thing in this show. But they signed former Rider DV Javonte Dean. Don't remember him, but for them. Riders signed former NFL DB Christian Campbell. Bombers signed former NFL DB Damian Swan. Red Blacks released Canadian offensive lineman Philip Gagnon. Bombers placed quarterback Austin Appleby on their retired list. Alouettes signed offensive lineman Philip Gagnon, so he stayed on the market for literally one day and then went somewhere. And then former Eskimos wide receiver Brian Mitchell signs with the Bucks.
He's gonna be playing with Tom Brady.
Yeah, he's gonna be playing with Tom Brady, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good for him. And the Riders signed former NFL running back Trey Swanson. Calgary Stampeders have signed former NFL defensive back Ashton Lampkin. Former CFL offensive lineman Greg Van Roten has signed with the New York Jets, I believe.
Yeah, it was the Jets.
Yeah. Riders signed NFL vet Cyrus. Oh, it is a hard name. Oh, you want to try this one, Taylor?
Koyuanjo.
I was gonna say Codangio, but that works too.
I'd go with Kuanjo.
All right, I'm gonna trust you guys. This guy was actually really good. Second round draft pick in the NFL, by all means, solid tackle. He's one of those guys that you're wondering what's he doing here. Like he should be in the NFL. He's so good, but hey, I'm glad he's on our team. Starting March 23rd, XFL players will be able to sign with any NFL or CFL team.
Well, I mean,
hey, PJ Walker's already signed with the Carolina Panthers.
But based off of recent events, I mean.
Yeah, I know, but
just unfortunate, right?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys though that I want from the XFL, so it'd be nice.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see a lot of movement yet. Like just with everything going on, it's going to be pretty quiet.
Are they even going to be able to sign now with COVID and everything? Is it going to start to overlap?
That's the thing. Like, have you seen what they're doing for the NFL draft? Like, they're doing Skype meetings basically to interview with players and stuff, and that's how they're going to do the draft.
I mean, I guess that makes sense though, because it's
you get drafted, right? And they have a green screen behind the player getting drafted. Team logo and everything.
Yeah, they're just standing there. They hear music and then
edit
and then it shows up on like a cam or like a little screen for oh my god, I'm drafted by this team. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, it makes sense because you can do a draft over the phone. You can call a prospect, be like, "Hey, congratulations, you're now a part of the Las Vegas Raiders or whatever."
A lot of guys do that. I mean, I remember I watched a video on how Pat McAfee got drafted, and he got called by the Colts 5 minutes beforehand, so they know.
Yeah. I mean, Brett Favre was at home. Yeah, Baker Mayfield was at home for it.
Dwayne Haskins also at home.
Yeah, lots of guys stay at home if they're not if you're not a first round guy.
Yeah. All right. First CFL employee staff of the BC Lions gets COVID-19. Oh man, yeah, I believe that was either March 23rd or 24th, around there.
Yeah, right around that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, you just got to be smart, and especially now that they have it, just sort of self-isolate, and we'll all be hopefully back to normal soon.
All of you listening,
Exactly.
stay safe, and for the love of God, wash your damn hands. All
With
right.
soap.
Yep, with soap. And Eskimos are the latest team to lay off front office football operations staff. No coaches have been affected thus far for that organization. 2020 CFL training camps were postponed. Fortunate. This one was interesting because it makes me think maybe he can come back. Hari Jones would love to have receiver Quan Bray back if the situation presents itself following the marijuana charges.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it's also
if you want him back after his 5-year prison sentence, sure,
I mean, marijuana just isn't that big of a deal here anymore. So
I know, but it's
get
like
that.
sneaking it across the border though. That's still really bad.
Well, it's almost like a thing where it's like, what's like? I'm sure this has all been documented somewhere, so I'm sure there's an answer to the
Oh,
question.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it was almost, was he doing it on purpose, or did he just genuinely think he's going? Maybe he was going to a state that allows marijuana, so maybe he was just thinking he could just transport the stuff that he had from there to there.
I don't think
But
so because I think he tried to cross in Texas or whatever, and
oh,
Well,
okay,
they
he-
accidentally were going to go through like Mexico or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
were
were going to
crossing
cross state lines.
they were
Oh,
crossing an
okay.
They got a
international
stop
border.
check.
That's why it was an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they got a
Yeah,
stop
no,
check.
I
and-
know that, but maybe he was like,
Like
no,
if
it
he
was
was going to, if he was in California or wherever, somewhere where it's legal, and then accidentally drive into a state maybe where it isn't, and then they got caught near
Alright,
there. It's
if
like,
you-
okay, but you
Hey, but how
tried to
many
sneak it across the
pounds?
border.
Yeah,
Yeah,
how
but
many
I think-
pounds was
yeah,
that?
150
like-
pounds. There was two
Like,
full
that's
duffel
fair.
bags. You
They're
know?
only allowed a
That's
certain
fair,
amount,
yeah.
so
Yeah, so
I guess,
he's
yeah, there's that.
distributing that. That's not for personal use, like
yeah,
You
that's,
don't know him.
that's a lot.
Bro,
I
he
mean,
eats-
maybe he was stocking up like people are on toilet paper right now,
He
but
eats
I
it
doubt he was
straight.
that
He
forward
knew.
thinking.
He knew.
Genius.
Oh man. Argos signed
That's the-
former NFL draft pick Travis Feeney. Bombers signed quarterback Dalton Sneed.
I am so excited for this one. I
Oh,
am so excited.
oh,
That
do
team.
He's
tell,
gonna
do
replace
tell.
Strevler.
I saw, dude. It looks like he could be to the same, not the same degree of strength, but the agility.
Speed. Yeah.
Like I saw a clip of him in college, and oh my god, I am so excited to have him on the team.
Yeah, it looks like they found a replacement for him. Like it's like Chris Strevler 2.0, just a little faster, maybe not as strong, but it's
Yeah,
faster.
yeah. They took some stat points away and added
Yeah.
it in some spots.
Exactly.
But
That's all right. And last piece of news we have for you today: Charleston Hughes stuttering. Has surgery to remove a bone chip in his shoulder that he had the whole season.
oof.
And that would
That's
hurt to
rough.
play with.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
That would not have been nice.
Yo, how do we stop Charleston Hughes? Pinch his shoulder, get him.
That didn't work. It's like, man's a warrior, dude.
Yeah.
He's gonna be playing for a long time.
Hey, well, the league's more exciting when he's in it. So
No doubt. Alright, so we have a little bit of a surprise for you this episode. Taylor and I got the privilege to go to Randy's road trip, and we're going to talk about our experience as well as some questions that we asked him. So I took notes literally throughout the whole thing so you can get an idea of what
did?
this is like. Yes, I did. I have my notebook right here, actually, that I'm about to read from.
Nice.
Let's just see if anything of note. Okay. Sorry if there's a lot of dead air right now. It's just I'm actually reading my notes as we go.
Oh, I'll just kind of talk about it. Like it was a cool experience. We got to Luke Mullender kind of opened it up, and then who else came out? Jeremy O'Day came out, then Craig Dickinson came out, and then Randy came out, and gave like a speech about the CFL, and just it made you good. It made you feel like happy to be a CFL fan. So it was good to hear from the commissioner, and he's a really personable guy. So like, I mean, like after the whole thing was done, we got some pictures with him, and he said like good luck with your podcast to us and everything. Like he was just he's a nice guy. I got a
Boom.
better
That,
impression this year from him than I have the past couple years. So
you know
I
what
was
that
happy.
means? You know what that means? That means that we've got endorsements from CFL commissioner and CFL commissioner. Come at
CFL
me.
CFL dot commissioner and Randy Ambrosi, the real
Yeah.
CFL commissioner. I approve. And then Randy gave us a little bit of a spiel about his plans for CFL 3.0. Talked about how 10 million people watched the Grey Cup last year.
Yeah, it's good
Well,
numbers.
wait, how many?
10 million people.
10 million.
Yeah, let's go.
It's a nice group. And then they want to get alumni involved more with the CFL. Something they talked about. They want to go to more schools and get younger people involved more in the game.
Yeah, all over Canada.
And
Well,
they
all
want
over
to
the world, they said.
Yeah, they did. That's in my notes. We wanted to expand league outreach against schools.
Oh,
Do some of the history of the CFL, why it's an integral part of Canadian culture.
Well, and that was a cool note that he said. He said what was some people in Australia, a league that plays football there. They're adopting Canadian Football League.
Yeah, they were
Like
gonna
that's
adopt.
how they're gonna play.
Yeah, they were deciding between American and CFL, and the one thing they really liked that did it for them was the unlimited motion that they
Yeah.
have in the CFL game. They're like, yeah, we like that. That's why we're gonna adopt your rules.
Well, I mean, I've said this every single time we've talked about the commissioner, like, and every time we've talked about the 2.0 plan. I really like the idea where it's like we're not going to beat the NFL in America, so let's beat them everywhere else.
Exactly. Like you talked about
Yeah,
too about
yeah.
the football outside of North America, how Japan has over 200 universities playing football, while Canada
Yeah.
only has 27.
Yeah, that was intense. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
Well,
that's a lot of kids playing football. That's a lot of people.
yeah, like Japan, they're one of those football places that they have a league there that's sort of popular. I think it's called the X League or something. And
Well, it's probably like Japanese baseball, where it's just like it's huge over there, but it's just because we're on the other side of the world, we don't know as much about it.
yeah, honestly. And then there was a bit of 10-minute break to think of questions for him. They brought up, as Taylor mentioned, Jeremy O'Day, Craig Reynolds, and Randy to answer various questions. O'Day's strategy, he said in free agency, was he wanted to get as many players back as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing they said that I really liked is they want to get the Vanier and the Grey Cup back together, which to me makes a lot of sense.
Oh well, yeah. Just it makes sense to have it wherever it is. It'd be really cool. Hopefully, it happens this year. But like, if those guys get to play the Vanier Cup at Mosaic Stadium and the Grey Cup's played the next day, that's pretty cool and that's pretty special. So
Yeah.
I think they should be able to do that.
They said they almost got it done this year, but not quite, and it might be a thing in 2021, so hopefully that's still on the table. I mean,
Isn't it in Saskatoon this year?
Vanier? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I could be wrong.
Yeah, James would know more about that than any of us because he's he plays U Sport. He knows that stuff better than any of us.
Yeah, he is the specialist there for sure.
That's true, but I would love it if they're like, if you get a Grey Cup ticket, you have free tickets to the Vanier or whatever. So
that's a really good way to sell it.
So you can pack it in on Saturday or whatever, and get these guys playing in front of big crowds. They're gonna like that, and just little things like that, man. It's pretty cool. Or just like have it as an extension for like $20 extra. You can get into the Vanier or something with the Grey Cup. Would be a nice little thing, because that way the U Sports get back from that.
Throw your Grey Cup ticket at the Vanier Cup and get like free food,
or just build it in the cost of the Grey Cup ticket. Like for an extra $5 on every ticket, you get to go in quote unquote for free. Like
just add a little bit to the price.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah,
just a couple bucks each ticket, but then with every ticket, you're going to give some money to them. They're going to be happy, and they're going to have way more butts in the seats. So it's a
Mhm.
win-win for everybody.
I think that's the best
Exactly.
way to put it, actually.
Yeah.
Now we mentioned that we asked some questions, so let's move on to those. Staff kind of all got together on the Google Doc. We're like, okay, what are some main questions we want to ask? And we narrowed it down to, I believe it was either 3 or 4. So, first one, and this is the one that I really care about a lot, and know Taylor does. Carter, I think you do too, as a fellow gamer.
Yeah.
So, this is the full question. With the XFL rumored to have a video game in development, with the CFL, would the CFL, consider developing one soon? Like fans have wanted for more than a decade, especially since the league's trying to attract a younger audience.
But
And
the
Taylor got to
way,
ask this one, so I'll let him answer it.
yeah, I kind of asked it, and I shout out to CFL Commissioner on Instagram, CFL.commissioner. But we got him to put up an Instagram poll, and we got just under 500 results, and it was like 80 some percent that said they would pay $50 for a CFL video game. And then he mentioned that they have been talking with all the other global leagues that they've been teaming up. It's 14 or 18. And they're talking about doing a worldwide video game where you could be, he said, where you could be Frankfurt versus Saskatchewan, like Frankfurt, Germany. So like
Yeah.
it would be pretty cool. It would be NHL without the NFL. You know what I mean?
True, yeah, and they're
Like
looking at
the
how
way
they
that the
would.
NHL game worked with all those different leagues. Like,
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
have the big draw, as they would say, but it
And
would
they're
be all
looking
those
at how it
leagues.
would work too, right? Is one thing they said. Like, what would a game look like between, Saskatchewan and Frankfurt? I think he said is one of the barriers they're trying to cross right now.
Yeah,
Well, I
but
mean,
it's
is it really that difficult to make field adjustments and everything, and like make the rules of the game different with presets?
well,
It
I'll
depends
see.
because it's like, what rules did they go by? You know what I
Well,
mean?
no, it's
Yeah,
like, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like as long as the
well,
dimensions of the field are relatively similar, then it should be whatever, because you can just preset the rules.
yeah, and
I
to me,
mean,
like, I think that you'd go by Canadian rules just kind of off the bat because like we'd be the big draw, and then you'd have all those other leagues to follow,
Yeah, for sure.
who would you
Yeah,
have
and
as
then like
the?
you could adjust it if they have different rules, but
I
yeah.
know
when
we've
you
talked
just
about it in the past, but who would you have as the cover athlete?
Oh, okay. That one, I think it's got to be probably Mike Riley or Bo Levi Mitchell, just because those are like the big marketable faces.
Really?
Hello?
I was thinking Willie Jefferson for that reason. Plus, I mean, well, that's saying that if they did it this year, I think it makes sense because it's got to be. I think it's got to be the MVP of the team that won the cup. And
It's
I'm
got to
not
be
going to
someone.
Harris because
well,
the whole
it's gonna be
Yeah.
thing.
one of the
It's
But
gonna be Harris with a steroid needle in his butt. Is what it's gonna be.
no,
but
but
like
it
I
it has
think
to be someone who had the biggest impact of the year, like that. That's the person.
Yeah, I
yeah,
know what you mean, but they also have to be a marketable person too, right? Like
But
Willie Jefferson's definitely
that's true.
marketable, but
I'll agree with Carter. Yeah, like Willie would not be a bad cover for like if they did a CFL game.
Yeah,
oh, I
and that's
agree
what
with you
I'm saying, like,
100%.
in a year. You know how much can change in a sports league in a year. Fajardo went from unknown to MVP. Like
Yeah,
like so, this could all change in a year. Probably will, but that's just from my stance today. That's what I think makes the most sense.
and then we
Maybe we'll
asked. Wait, go ahead.
hold on. Maybe we'll make some covers or something and throw them on Instagram and see what you guys
Ooh,
think.
Be all right. I'll be down for that.
Yeah.
And we asked our second question here: will there be a CFL week this year? Obviously, this was before the whole Corona pandemic, so that there wouldn't be this year, but they're looking at it for 2021. So it's good to see that that's coming back.
I have a question to you guys about that.
Sure.
Excluding Saskatchewan and Winnipeg because they're the places that have had it already. Where would you put it?
Edmonton?
Yeah, Edmonton or Ottawa
Yep.
or
I'm
Hamilton.
I'm thinking Montreal. If they have another good year, I'm thinking Montreal because if they
Yeah.
have a good year, they have some rabid fans in Montreal.
They do when they're
Yeah.
winning, yeah.
Well, yeah, and they know how to, they know how to have a good time and throw parties. Yeah,
Oh, no doubt.
I think you're right. Like they could definitely do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that I think either Montreal or either of the Alberta cities.
or do it at a quote unquote neutral site and do it in Halifax to keep the buzz
Yeah.
around the schooners. You know.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and then you draw the big name players out there for stuff like that. You could have the combine out there, things like that, and
I
lots
mean,
of interviews. And yeah, it would be good. It would be good exposure for the players and the fans out there, both like to each other.
you could also do the type of thing. This isn't necessarily a week because it'd have to be longer than a week to pull this off. But you could do. I don't know if either of you guys were participating in this when the CFL train was a thing.
CFL
For that,
trade. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
that
I
Grey
remember
Cup, there
that.
was a CFL train that went through the country, and I actually got to go and I went on it, which was wild. Um, but yeah, I think if they did something like that, that could be really cool because it's I know CFL's coming back. Which city should we recognize? All of them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, even we've seen lots of pictures of those like Dairy Queen helmets that they used to do. Like the CFL used to do a lot more promoting outside the league. Like, the Rider fans promote to Rider fans and they try to do that everywhere, but it's not associated with anything else a lot, like you can't
Mhm.
go get it as a toy somewhere like that, for example. You
Yeah,
can't go
yeah.
to like I go to Walmart and they don't even have CFL cards out. CFL cards are available, but they're mostly online. Like you got to get them in front of people's faces too.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll move on to our third question here. I asked this one. I said, "How close is the Halifax group to getting their stadium built?" I already sort of knew the answer to this one. But there's no timetable for the team entering the league. Funding for the stadium has been approved. However, they need to find a new location. So,
Build it on the volcano. I don't know.
oh god, never a good idea.
Put it on the beach, bro.
Oh man,
Yeah,
Right
build
near
it
the
its own
ocean,
island.
dude. With an
build an
ocean view.
island.
Oh my god.
Put it on Oak Island.
Oh
That is out
god.
there.
It's on an island. The
On
only thing
top of
that's
the
Oak
there, the
Island. Oh
only
my
thing that's
god.
there is a hotel and a stadium and a bridge.
My question is, Taylor, now that you bring up Oak Island, how many seasons do you think they're gonna go before they find anything significant?
They've already started another show, so I think they're either going to be done with Oak Island or they're just going to keep dragging it on forever.
If they quit, it's like you gotta be kidding me. I feel so bad for people who watch that show because it's like they've gone on for how long and they've found a freaking
Yeah, I think it's like
nail
6 or 7 seasons.
pieces
I
of
just
wood.
laugh at it.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's just one of
Yeah,
those
we
things.
found this steak spike. It's from the 1700s. Oh, that must mean these Spanish people were here and they left all their gold. And it's ridiculous. Yeah.
I know it's so bad.
So that's the first time hearing about that. That's wild.
Oh,
Dude,
History
it's
Channel.
so
You
bad.
got to watch it, man.
Man,
Straight
I
from
miss
Oak
the
Island.
old History Channel that actually used to be about history. Now it's just a bunch of reality shows. It's like,
Oh, yeah. OnStars opened the gates, man.
Yeah, they did. Like American Pickers, but occasionally,
Yeah.
they find stuff though, so it's like, okay, I'll give you a break. But
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, Pawn Stars, and then I think Disney bought them and then just turned it into a freaking reality show place, and it's like, oh,
Pretty much.
I miss shows like Dogfights and Greatest Tank Battles, which you don't see anywhere anymore. It's sad,
Ancient aliens.
Yeah, those shows where you can truly just catch one and then actually just have fun watching it, fun with it.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, just classics,
And then what else? Oh yeah, this is their last question that we asked. So, what do you think of the idea of fans knowing player salaries? Randy said that that's more of a thing with the PA, not necessarily the league, and they're like a privacy issue for those guys. So probably won't be knowing player salaries anytime soon.
You know what is absolutely wild? I spoke with one of my CFL affiliates, one of the people that I talk to who play in the CFL, and I asked them. I asked if it's okay with you, do you mind, just so I can get a basis of how much a player of this certain caliber would make. So I asked him, is it okay if you share with me how much you make? And his response to me was, Google it. They don't know that we don't know their salaries.
Seriously?
Players don't know. And Jefferson said the same thing in an interview. So I'll use his name because Jefferson said in an interview that he didn't actually know that CFL salaries are a secret.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. It was funny when, I'll shout out my brother, shout out Jackson, but he actually asked that question, and I was sitting back in the audience when he asked it. And a couple old Snicker and Adam for even asking that question. It was pretty funny. Oh, yeah. They were like, oh, I can't believe he would even ask that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
but then,
frankly, old people got nothing better to do, man.
I remember we kind of talked, I talked to Rod Peterson about it a little bit, and he talked about it on his show I saw a little bit later because it came up in some other people's articles about that. And it was a big thing. It was a big debate for a while I saw online. Should salaries be public or not? And it's more heated than I thought it was.
I know, it's so weird that some people are like, oh, we shouldn't know. It's like, we know every other pro league salaries. Why shouldn't you know this one?
Yeah, they're like, would you want your salary shown? I remember, I think Jerry said that. And I was like, well, I'm not a professional athlete. And
yeah, literally every other league does it. Why don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And this is a professional league. So, I just, is everyone that embarrassed?
Yeah. It's just,
I think
it,
it might shed bad light on the league, honestly, if they say because they always announce their earnings. They say oh, we made this much in profit. So then if they have their players come out and they say that they're making less than stellar numbers, that's only going to look bad on the CFL.
I mean, not necessarily, because it's economics of scale, right? You can only pay players so much for their output. You know what I mean?
That's
and
true.
we know what the salary cap is, and we know how much the minimum is, and some salaries have been announced and some haven't. So we have a general idea. And I mean, a lot of guys are making the league, which when you take it back to the States, I think Duran tweeted out the other day, $17,000 after taxes and everything.
Duran, man.
Yeah. So
that was a bad take that he had recently about how it's a regular thing for pro football players to be losing their jobs. I don't see why you're going mad now. It's like, dude.
Yeah, people went off on him.
Yeah, literally millions of your fellow Americans are applying for unemployment insurance now because they lost their jobs because of coronavirus, and you're on here saying that when he's got a multi-millionaire dad too, right? So if he ever was in dire straits, he could just go to his dad because his dad's not gonna be like, "Oh, go away."
But,
it's like he's your son; you're gonna take care of him.
I don't think he was trying to hurt anybody or he wasn't trolling when he said that. It was just kind of
I think it
was a stupid comment, though.
I think it's a case of different life experiences.
Well, exactly. But I think he was just trying to say, some football players, a young guy in a football league, you could be cut the next day and you are kind of worried. But now it's hitting everybody. And I don't think it's the best comparison, but I can see why he kind of said it. And I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I just kind of understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it was a stupid comment for him.
Well, yeah,
I'm not even a Duran hater either.
No,
he's a talented dude, but don't say that right now, man. No.
The difference with the CFL, the difference between it being an athlete and a regular worker like me per se, is that you're signing up to be entertainment. At the end of the day, our entertainment comes from you being good at what you do. So if you are not the best at what you do, you can get cut from your position. It's the exact same as any other job. If you don't perform, you can get fired. You're not special because you're an athlete and you have someone looking over your shoulder every day. That's what everyone experiences. Which makes
but to a degree, a normal job has a lot more security than a pro athlete, right?
That's true. But at the same time, have you ever seen cancel culture? Is a huge thing.
Yeah.
One thing as anybody who's in the limelight and you're done because that's just how it goes now. So you have such a pedestal, you have such a big thing that you can do, you can portray your voice a lot easier than other people can. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah,
I feel you.
I with you. It's a bad take.
So we're gonna jump right into our off-season Q number 6, just because I think we're on a good roll right now.
Yeah.
So speaking on Randy's road trip, how would you grade him as a commissioner?
Well, I'm actually gonna give him a B plus. Like I'm happy. Like he's doing a good job. And it was funny. I was actually sitting beside my girlfriend, and she said, "Out of all the stuff I hear you say about him, you should probably give him a B plus." And I was thinking the same thing. So, it just like there's stuff I like, but there's just certain things that I haven't liked, and just answers I've heard before. And I mean, things have changed, but I guess to summing it up, I'm content with him. I'm happy, and he's not the guy we had before, so he's better than what that guy was.
Um, yeah, I'm going with an A
Sorry.
minus. I'm going a little bit higher than you. I really like Ambrosi as our commissioner. I think that he has done really well. I just think a lot of I think he's really settling into his role now. He's starting to sort of he knows what the job comes with now because like I don't care how ready you are as a commissioner, you're gonna get curveballs at you your first few years, right? So I think that it's just sort of worked out for him, and now he's in control. He knows what to do, and yeah, he's not really taking many missteps. Like whenever something happens, he's usually really quick to have a statement or a rule change if that's what it calls for, or something like that. Like
Yeah.
like I think a big thing that helped was when he added in the referee that's specifically looking for
And
The
how about
headshots.
to helmet
yes,
hits? Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, in the
and they've got
playoffs.
yeah, and you have you're now able to challenge unnecessary roughness calls, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that really helps his standing as a commissioner, so I have him as an A minus.
I have the same grade as you, Carter. I have him at an A minus. I like some of the things he's doing to grow the game, and I know some of my other pro Canadian people are kind of yelling and screaming, "Oh, why are you doing all these global things? You should be doing more to look after the game at home," and yada yada yada. But fact is, I'm also a business major, and one thing that he's trying to do with this is to create alternative revenue streams the league hasn't necessarily tapped into, because
Hmm.
the more global player stuff we have, we're getting TV deals from these different countries, which is more revenue streams, which can be invested more into the Canadian game, and that's why we're doing these global outreach programs. It's just alternative revenue streaming. It's smart. This guy was a successful businessman before he came in and became the commissioner, and I think he's also doing that same type of thing within the league, and I like that. This means more revenue for players and helps everybody. More money helps everybody. So now after,
Just got to start seeing money.
oh yeah, no doubt. So on to usually this is our last segment, but with everybody having to just quarantine at home and everything is shut down, we have a new segment called COVID Activities where we give you guys one thing that we do per episode um, that we're doing during quarantine that we might recommend to you. So I'm going to start off. Again, Carter and I are both gamers, and I know basically everybody in this podcast staff, because we're all younger, has been playing this. Call of Duty Warzone.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, 30 million people already playing this game. It's free. So
Yeah,
there's no paywall.
if you enjoy video games even the slightest bit and you don't have Warzone, check it out. Like give it at least an hour of your time. You'll fall in love.
Yeah, you're not losing
Uh,
anything too. It's free. And
all right, I'll download it.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
cross-platform too, so you can play with your buddies on like
Doesn't matter
a
if
lot.
it's PlayStation, Xbox, PC. Everybody can play
Well,
together.
Yeah,
yeah,
because that was
like
a
I
huge
think,
problem. Like with our staff here, like a lot of guys play Xbox and PS4, and I
Well,
play on
literally
PC, so I
us
wouldn't normally
us
be able to play with you
three,
guys.
us three. I'm on PlayStation. Taylor, you said you're on Xbox, right? Before we
yeah,
started. Yeah,
yeah,
and Jimmy, you're on PC,
Oh,
so it works because this is the first Call of Duty where we can actually play together.
I
Well,
love
and
that,
don't.
and I'm actually tempted to actually get this one because the problem with Call of Duty and PC is like Call of Duty is a year life cycle and it dies
Mm.
within after that year. It's not like Battlefield
Yeah.
where it's constant, right? But a lot of people on the consoles actually do stick with Call of Duty even a year after if they like it. So I might get this one. Well, I'm gonna wait till it's on sale though, just because again that cross-platform just means its life cycle is gonna be longer, so it might be worth getting.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
wondering if there's going to be a Blackout 2 when because the next game is going to be a Treyarch video game. So they were the ones that were behind Blackout, the original Call of Duty Battle Royale.
If it's
So I'm
free
wondering if
and
they're
disconnected from Modern Warfare a bit, I'll play it. You know?
well, I think they found the golden formula for it now.
Yeah, for sure. Because not everybody who plays Call of Duty plays this, and vice versa, right? So yeah, it just helps you get more people.
oh, well, I'll say what I was doing, I guess. Uh, I do sales for a living, so I've just been working from home. And when I'm not working, I guess I'm just kind of hanging out with the kids or watching movies. So just finished all the Batman movies. They weren't
Ooh.
bad.
All right, there. So Taylor is recommending that to you, Carter. What do you got?
So this one's specifically for all my PlayStation people out there. There's a game that came out earlier this week on Monday. It's called Persona 5 Royal, and oh my god, it is a blast. So it's essentially a game split into two halves, where in one half it's essentially a life sim, and god, that's nice right now when we're all stuck inside to have a life sim style game playing Animal Crossing.
And yeah,
Um,
Oh,
but then you also, it's got a dungeon crawler aspect to it. It is a JRPG, so it's a Japanese style game. It's got turn-based combat, so it's like Pokemon, so it's easy enough to pick up. So there's like strengths and weaknesses like fire and ice, all of that stuff.
hmm.
But yeah, really good. It's got a really good story. The game is a journey, though. I think I'm just over halfway, and I've already sunk 40 hours into it. So yeah, I mean, I've been having a blast with it, and if you have a PlayStation, I recommend that you check that one out, or the regular Persona 5, not the Royal. If you don't have that much money, it's less than half the price for that one now. I think it's like $20. So yeah, check that out.
yeah, that's not bad. So if you're stuck and you have nothing to do in quarantine, consider some of these ideas. Like I said too, I was binge watching a lot of House MD lately because uh,
Yeah.
that was such a good show, man. But
Well,
yeah,
speaking of stuff that I want to watch, I mean, we were talking about it a little bit before, but like
oh
before we
yeah,
started
everybody
recording, like
needs to
Tiger
watch Tiger
King,
King. Yep.
like
Tiger
that
King,
is
Free Joe Exotic.
wild. I've
Yeah,
only seen one episode, and it's
Yeah, you just
wild.
wait.
dude, it's crazy. Like,
Free
oh
Joe
my.
Exotic. That man needs to be out, and Carol Baskin needs to be in a jail.
And if you
Dude.
if you watch the show, you know what we're getting at, and if you don't, you probably know someone who does, or just look it up. It's all over the place.
Like
So
#1 on Netflix in Canada, and
Yeah,
yeah, all
it's a
over the world. It's
it's a
huge.
seven episode docu-series, so I figured I'd check it out. Yeah, and after the first episode, I'm just like, I cannot wait to see where this goes.
Yeah, I finished it in like 2 evenings, and it was just unbelievable. I couldn't stop watching.
100%, yeah. And I think that's gonna wrap things up for this episode. There is hopefully gonna still be prospect rankings coming out in April, so that'll probably be our next show unless something major comes up. And hopefully there isn't anything negative with COVID and we get at least some type of CFL season.
Yeah,
So
I'm just hoping that we get a timeline sooner or later, but I know that's tough right now. So
for sure, like I know Cody Fajardo said on the Sports Cage, which by the way, if you do listen to that, I will be making an appearance. What day is that? It's Tuesday, but obviously watch this later.
you're gonna be
April
what?
7th. I'm gonna be on the Sports Cage April 7th. Derek Taylor.
Yo, That's news to me. That's wild.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna be.
What?
I'm going to the big leagues, and we're gonna. Here's what we're gonna talk
Bro.
about. We're gonna talk about our CFL mock draft I did with James. We're gonna talk about this podcast, so we're gonna get some more exposure from that for sure. Gonna try to bump up that Twitter following because we only have 43 Twitter followers. And then, yeah, our Instagram is great. Like, I love our Instagram. We got 170 guys on there. That's awesome. But my goal is to grow our Twitter for this next year. And we're going to have, like, a big... I'm not going to say what it is. We're going to have a big intro for when Season 2 kicks off of the True North CFL podcast.
Whoop, whoop.
It's
Big things,
good,
big
good
things.
times are ahead.
Yeah, no doubt. So, again, that wraps things up. I am Jimmy Leach, and this is the True North CFL podcast signing off.